This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey, this is Nick Lukkonen, and I'm here with Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Play Old Time Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Nick Lukkonen!
Hey, thanks.
How are you today, Luke? Nick?
Yeah, no, I'm good, man. No, yeah, that's a common thing that people reverse. I get called Luke sometimes. When I used to live in the U.S., I got called Luke a lot more. But now I'm in Finland. People pronounce my last name correctly. So
yes, I believe that must be nice, right?
yeah, it was kind of nice, because I'm from the U.S. and I've been here in Finland for about a little over 8 years, and so I'm like, oh, these people pronounce my name correctly, and I don't have to correct anybody, so that's a good thing. Yeah, happy to be here, man.
Could you tell us what you have coming up event-wise, and where we can find you on social media and merchandise?
Oh, yeah, you bet. Well, I wrestle with Slam Wrestling, and so our next event is Wrestling Slam 2 in Seinäjoki, Finland on January 17th. So that's the next event that I have coming up. I'm actually coming back to the U.S. For Christmas, so I'm taking some time off. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Nick_Lukkonen. And so that's where kind of links to all the events and stuff are. And I do have a bit of merch, some t-shirts if anybody's interested. But then you can find Slam Wrestling Finland on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the website slamrest.com. So that's where I can be found.
And you don't even have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. You mentioned, you've been in Finland for the last 8 years. You're originally from the United States. What kind of caused that move to Finland? I'm assuming it wasn't pro wrestling.
Yeah, no, it was work. I'm in IT, and so there was an opportunity to come to Finland for work, and so I came here, and I liked it so much I stayed, and so yeah, so that's kind of how my story brought me to Finland. But yeah, being from northern Minnesota, I do have some Finnish roots. I have a Finnish last name, so that was also kind of the interest to come to Finland. I
gotcha. And what kind of like those first culture shocks moving from like the United States to Finland?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one because it was so long ago, but I do remember like first moving and being excited and to come to a new country and start kind of start over or whatever, this just everything's new. But I remember riding in the taxi the first time from the airport into the city of Helsinki and looking around and like, this looks exactly like northern Minnesota. Same kind of trees, same kind of forests and same kind of rocks and stuff like that. So, but it was exciting because Helsinki is a beautiful, beautiful city. And and then just some things, I don't know. I think now I kind of get that reverse culture shock when I go back to the U.S., because things I've been here for so long. It's an interesting experience,
I gotcha. Well, you mentioned it. You wrestle for Slam Wrestling. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company and the man himself, Starbuck?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, I mean, Slam's the only place that, that's kind of been my base. And so I think I've been wrestling for about 3 or 4 years now. And I really attribute, a lot of it to be able to do what I do to Buck. He's a really, really great teacher. And so when I have traveled outside of Finland, I've been to Spain for some trainings, and I was in Manchester and stuff. And I think, he's a great coach, really focuses on the basics, on the technique, and really, really wrestling snug and making things how wrestling should be, in my opinion. And so I when I go out, I feel very, very confident in my abilities. So it's a great place to be. It's a great place to learn, especially from Buck. I owe him a lot.
Well, speaking of snug, can you tell us about your recent issues with Dylan Broda?
Oh, yeah. He has been kind of, we were training, we're training partners, and kind of, at the beginning there, he was kind of in the lead, kind of pulling everybody up, and kind of there to good sparring partner and things. But yeah, recently we've been kind of clashing heads a lot. He runs his mouth. He he doesn't. I don't know if he trains as much as he really needs. But somehow he finds a way. But it's been fun to kind of grow with him, and then also kind of maybe pull ahead. Maybe it's time to put him in his place.
Well, I mean, at the center of these issues between you and Dylan is a one Aruther. I mean, you were tag team partners, friends, and then he ultimately, turned on you in favor of Broda.
Yeah. No, that one. I think this next year, Aruther's making his way, and he's, I think he's had a couple goes against Buck for the champion belt, and he's trying to find his way. But it hurts, like. Aruther, he's a great kid. He's got a lot of potential. He's a nice young kid, and he's, has a background in amateur wrestling. And, quite honestly, like, I trained with him a lot. And yeah, we had some really, really good tag team matches. And then even just some matches where we were, just kind of going against each other, but nothing really in between it. But yeah, since he's taken that turn and just kind of getting a bit more cocky and kind of running his mouth, and not really knowing his place. I think it's a balance of having the skill and the talent that he has. And I mean, when we were tag team partners, he was I always said he's a good looking guy, and everybody take out their cameras to take photos with him. But I hate to see him running around with Dylan, because Aruther has all the potential in the world to really make a splash in the European wrestling scene. That's for sure.
So it's safe to say that this isn't necessarily over with you and Broda and Aruther.
No, not at all, not at all. Like I think I've had some tag teams against them. Yeah, most recently we had a match that was an outdoor match, and it kind of went sideways because it started to rain right in the middle. And it was me and TT Suasalo versus Aruther and Broda. And I want a rematch. I want to get back at them, And so we'll see what we can line up this next year, and really put them both in their place. I mean, it's good to have kind of people around like that, but not when they get a bit too big or run their mouths like those guys like to do.
And I was going to mention the match. Your last match against them, it did rain on yous. Did it start raining while yous were in the match, or was it already raining when you got in the ring?
It started raining, I think about maybe like 8 to 10 minutes in, and then unfortunately the ring was just so slippery. It was just kind of dangerous, and so I think. I mean, at that point, I was just more worried about kind of saving myself and, not to get hurt myself. And so it ended pretty quickly. I think, because all I remember is the rain and trying to stand on my feet. I mean, we were falling all over and trying to take advantage of that. But I think Dylan wrapped me up at the end, and maybe the ref counted a bit too quickly, or maybe there was something miscommunicated, because it went from a nice dry day to all of a sudden a downpour. So there was a lot of confusion. Fun experience though. Fun experience to wrestle in the rain outside. Those rings get like slip and slides. You can't hardly stand up. I remember, I think I went to go for a drop kick, and it just was not as sharp as I'd like it to be.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Usually when people use the excuse, "Well, it was raining," you're actually validated.
Yeah. When you're outside trying to have a wrestling match and it starts to rain, I think it's valid. Thank you so much.
Yes. So definitely, it's definitely a rivalry that isn't resolved for sure.
No, not at all, man. Like Dylan, me and him have met several times. Like some of my first matches were against him. So I got a feel for him. And like I said, I'm not the youngest guy, but I'm putting in my work now, trying to make a splash in Slam, before kind of my time is done. So, and one thing I would like to do is just put Dylan in his place, maybe through something like that, get Aruther back to the good side, let's say, get him away from there so he doesn't go down some roads, because I know how influential it can be when you're a young guy. And somebody kind of makes some false promises, and you get that kind of cocky attitude. It can go downhill pretty fast.
Well, I believe this was prior to Broda. Can you tell us about your rivalry with Kosmo, the kid-friendly clown?
Oh. Wow. Yeah, that guy is out of his mind. That guy's out of his mind. It was just, at first he's scary and you never know what he's going to do. You got to keep your eye on that guy all the time. And he was just kind of, getting creepier and creepier as he started to kind of reveal himself more and more. And so I think going back and forth with him, at first I thought it was kind of fun, but it was getting a bit too much there at the end. But I think we had some good matches too. I think there was one up in Senioki last year where me and Aruther, we were a tag match, and it was versus Kosmo and another clown. And so I was like, what are we doing here, putting these clowns down? But that was a good one. I think in that match I actually body slammed both the clowns together, and so that kind of sent Kosmo away for a little while.
I mean, they call him the kid-friendly clown, but just looking at him, I had a nightmare last night about him.
Yeah, there is nothing kid-friendly about that guy.
Right.
And he smells a little funny, and so that's his own name. You kind of start to create a character, and maybe he was, kid-friendly at a time, but obviously he's got some bigger traumas and some maybe past history he needs to dig up, And I know we had that match with him versus Dr. Sadism, and that was not the kind of doctor he needed to be with, that's for sure.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that. You did have the opportunity and the honor to team with Stark Adler, one of the first Finnish pro wrestlers in Finland. What was that experience like?
I mean, that guy is amazing. He moves so well, and to be his tag partner is, I'm just, it's like a master class. I appreciate all the time I get to talk to that guy and just what he can show, and he's run our trainings, and just the way that he moves and his approach to wrestling is it's the next level. So it's good to kind of know and to have that history to kind of know where you come from, and Stark Ader is definitely I'm happy that he comes around and that he's still involved with Slam. It's great to have him.
Is a one-on-one match something that you desire?
Against Ader?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good test, to kind of see how far I've come. I've always looked up to him. So yeah, I mean, depending on kind of how the year shakes out, and how this, how I can maybe look to start to make a name for myself here at Slam, right? Because I've been kind of in these tags versus these clowns, like you said, and kind of dealing with his running his mouth, and maybe it's time for me to put in the work and have good solid matches with respected guys like Ader, and maybe even getting like I said, putting Aruther in his place, and seeing where this could go.
Definitely. So there is maybe a singles run desire for you in this upcoming year. You have primarily been tagged, right?
Sorry?
You've primarily done tag team wrestling.
Yeah, I think this past year I've been in a lot of tags for sure, which is great. I get paired up with some great people. I think who have I been with? Like Aruther quite often. I know me and El Miguel have had a couple matches together. TT most recently. I remember what was his name? Starboy Lopez. He came into town, and so that was great, because I mean, it's fun to have the singles matches, but those tag teams, especially with some great people, and for the way that I view wrestling, it's having a good time and learning what you can, and so I'm always happy to have a partner. It's fun to cheer everybody on too.
Well, one of those tag partners was Kuma, where you actually wrestled against NXT UK alumni Wild Boar and Primate. Can you tell us about the experience of wrestling NXT UK alumni?
I mean, that's been the best match. That's the standout match for me for sure. Yeah, and I was happy to have Kuma on my side with some experience and with some size, and yeah, facing the Wild Boar and the Primate, those guys were obviously, I mean, coming from the NXT, a really way for me to show what I have, right? Can I hang with the big guys? Can I hang with the big leagues? And so, I think that match was exciting. It was a great venue, a great show. This was it the Slamageddon that we had a few years back, and so yeah, I would be happy to wrestle with Kuma again. He's a great guy, and yeah, to face the Wild Boar and the Primate, at any point in my career, was an honor. They were ferocious, but I mean me and Kuma, we did what we could in that match.
Now, you mentioned it. You had some excursions out of Finland to Spain for training. How was the training style, different in Spain compared to being trained in Finland?
It was great. It was a great group of people. And so yeah, I was there. What was it? I think the beginning of this year, maybe. I went to Madrid for a work-related thing, and then I looked up White Wolf Wrestling based on a recommendation from Starboy Lopez, and so I met up with those guys, and they had a really good organization. They had a really good group of guys, and I watched some of their shows and stuff, and yeah, I mean, they were training everything that you needed to do, and for me, it was kind of normal to attend training where I don't understand all the language because I don't speak Spanish and I don't speak Finnish. So yeah, they accepted me. I fit right in. So it was a great experience. If you're in Spain or if you're in Madrid, I'd highly recommend checking those guys out.
You don't speak Finnish?
No, nope. I've been here a while. I've taken classes a couple times. I've had private tutors a few times, but it's just it sounds different and the pronunciation is different than English and you have to pay attention to things. And, growing up, I didn't get the opportunity to really learn other languages. I think we took 2 years of French in high school. And so, I have not learned Finnish, beyond just like the basics of, kiitos and huva peva.
I think learning French in Finland is a little counterproductive, don't you think?
Well, hey, if you start wrestling in France or something, or it's a new language. It's always a new language.
Well, can you tell us about the Mortal Kombat Real World Estonian Championship match?
Oh, the Mangadoo in Estonia, was it last year? Yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting. Because it was Dylan and Aruther and myself and Dr. Sadism, going for this trophy at this video game conference thing, which was cool. It was really, really cool because it was held in this movie theater. So basically, they had different video game tournaments going on all night in the movie theaters, and we were there to put on our match. But it was like at I think maybe 1 a.m, and so we kind of was a free for all. So, but I think it was a great experience because like the cosplayers and the video games and stuff, it was cool to check out. I think Dylan took it after hitting me in the head with a laptop, which wasn't so great, and I was kind of knocked out from after that piece. But I mean it's a great event they put on every year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it this year, but I think they had a good time there.
It sounds like it just adds fuel to the fire between you and Broda.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's always something with that guy. He can't just have a clean fight, right? So I'm getting a bit smarter, kind of knowing what he is and kind of giving him back to him. I think remember there was a match that we had this year at the American Car Show, which is a super fun weekend. We get to wrestle and have some good matches while there's this classic American car expo going on. And so I think he took me. I think he won in the end because his buddy there, the Lord Coxworth, tripped me up at the end. But I was getting my pieces in, and I could have had him. But yeah, I'm done taking his his sideways tricks.
All right. Well, that brings us to Nick's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
A road story. Crazy things. I mean, this year, I think, we took a couple trips with Slam Wrestling. We had some matches in different places in Finland. And we went to one place. It was this place called Ikalinen. It's a spa. And we had this, I think, Italian wrestler, the Red Scorpion, was there. And once again, world-class wrestler, amazing guy. And him and I got invited to take a sauna with a group of Finnish guys who were there just kind of having a party. So that was a fun experience, kind of taking a random sauna, in the middle of the Finnish countryside at this spa before a match with the Red Scorpion. And once again, just learning all I can from a guy like that. He's been in the business and he knows what he's doing. So I think for me, it's always good to learn what I can from people who've done this for longer than I have.
And in a sauna as well.
Yeah, sauna as well, yeah. And in that case, the group of guys, there were maybe 8 of them or something like that. They could tell the Scorpion was a professional wrestler, but during the sauna they didn't quite see it from me. But then after the show, I think I wrestled this other guy, Dr. No, and then they saw, yeah, okay, I have the skills to wrestle too.
I know that when I had Arthur on, he said, crazy things happen on the road, and I was like, okay, so what more when it comes to crazy things, does crazy things happen more with Broda or with Nick? And he started to laugh and he said, a lot of crazy stuff has happened with Nick. Yeah. Me and Aruther have had our crazy times. That's for sure. We traveled to Sweden together, and we had a good match there in Stockholm. We had some times there. Yeah. So I think if he exactly, and that's what I miss about that kid. We've had some crazy road trips and some fun times. And so I don't know why. Yeah, that I think maybe I'll bring that up. I'll be like, hey, Aruther, who's more fun to hang out with? Who would you rather take a road trip with? Who's gonna get better snacks and who's gonna, do the have the better stories. Okay, so what happened in Sweden? Oh man. There was a lot, but I mean, pretty tame things that kind of stick out in my mind. Luckily we ended up staying with a friend of a friend, and this guy, he was this amazing dude, and he's Brazilian. So before our match, he made us a Brazilian grill, which included chicken hearts. So I think that was the first time Aruther had chicken hearts, and so we had some chicken hearts and a lot of meat and just a wonderful cookout before our match. So that was maybe at least podcast friendly crazy. Fair enough. And what was that experience like wrestling for in Sweden? I believe Stockholm Pro Wrestling. Yeah. What was that like compared to wrestling in Finland? Yeah, I mean the Swedish fans were quite a bit more receptive. They had a really great venue, and so I think that was really it. And I know some of those guys there, they've come here to work for Slam, so we have a really good relationship with those guys. So, yeah, I really liked wrestling in Sweden. I'd be really happy to go back. That's for sure. All right. Now, other than pro wrestling, you play Aussie football. Can you tell us about that? Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I play Australian football. I played that here in Finland for maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years now. And so at one point, I think there were 3 teams here in Finland, but now I think it's down to 2. And so I don't think I played a game this year, but I played a couple the year before, and a couple years before that, I was much more involved. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know the sport, but it's a great sport. And the team here is called the Helsinki Heat Seekers. And so it's being kind of an immigrant, right? Because I moved to Finland as an immigrant to kind of find some English speakers, and Aussie guys are great to get along with and have a couple beers with and kick the footy around. So their accent's a bit different, but they're a bunch of really happy guys. And I think for me, the biggest honor that I got was playing Australian football is a few years back.
I was asked to play on the Finnish national team.
Wow.
So it's like the Finland Icebreakers. And so we played in a Euro Cup once again in Sweden outside of Stockholm. And so we played against teams from Germany and Poland and I think Israel and maybe even Russia, but we played the Russians here before too. So we didn't do so great, but we gave the Germans a run for their money, I think. And I believe we beat Poland. So yeah, but once again, it's a great weekend to hang out with a bunch of really cool guys, you know, and you go to a tournament like that. And well, there was probably a lot of crazy stories there, you know, so much that yeah, people knew the Finnish team because they could party, and yeah, especially me and my friend Yanni. So there's some great stories there. But yeah, I got into Australian football through Irish football. So
Okay, so what's the difference between Australian football compared to, I believe, soccer? We call it soccer, but it's probably football there.
Yeah, I mean it's drastically different from, let's say, soccer. It's more probably close to kind of, let's say, a rugby. Because you can move all the time with the ball, so unlike American football. And you can move anywhere, any direction. You can kick the ball or you can punch the ball out of your hand. And then you can run, I think it's like 10 yards or so, 10 meters or so. Then you either have to bounce it or kick it or punch it. And you can tackle people full on from the knees to the shoulders. And you don't wear pads. So there's no like pads like in American football.
Okay.
And the ball's like either let's say maybe a slimmer, it's kind of shaped like an American football. It's like in the middle between an American football and a rugby ball.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, look at some videos. It's an interesting sport.
It does sound interesting because I do kind of prefer rugby over American football. It just flows a lot better and more easily. So
Yes. Yeah, if you like American football for, like, you know, the cool passes and the hits and the good defense, that's what Australian football has, but it's always moving. There's not the stops all the time and the waiting and that kind of stuff.
all right. Well, on top of, you know, all those the sports you've been doing, you're actually a part of the roller derby as well, no?
Yeah, I used to play roller derby too. Yeah, COVID kind of killed men's roller derby here in Finland, that's for sure. But yeah, when I first moved to Finland, I started training roller derby, and then shortly after that, there was a men's team started here in Helsinki, and I was kind of on the first group of that, and so there were two teams in Helsinki. Or two teams in Finland. There was Helsinki and Tampere, and then there was another men's team that came out of this town called Kouvola. And so we had some great games, and with my roller derby team, it's called the Helsinki Coast Quads. And so our like logo was this submarine, this old submarine that's on this island here in Helsinki. But yeah, with the Coast Quads, we took trips to Newcastle in the UK, and we played in Germany in Kiel, and we had hosted like teams from Scotland and Madrid, Spain and stuff here too, in Helsinki. So yeah, I kind of really am sad that COVID killed the roller derby, but I think if it didn't, maybe I wouldn't have found wrestling. So it's goods and bads, I guess.
I'm just curious, how do you kind of find yourself in all of these sports? Is it like a passion, or is it something that you kind of find, you know, just stumbling upon, so to speak?
I think it's the people, quite honestly. You know, I think with roller derby, my ex-wife played roller derby, so I would go to the games and I would check things out, and we lived in Montana for a year, and the only thing to do there was roller derby. So I started to train as a referee for roller derby. And then when we moved back here to Finland, one of the photographers for the Helsinki roller derby, he said he was going to start training derby, and told me I should too. And he's a cool dude, so I said yep. And so then I got involved in that, and he continued to take wonderful photos, and I started skating with the team. So yeah, for me, like, yeah, that's a great question. But what I find is, like, I'm drawn to these physical activities with amazing groups of people. I've met wonderful people through roller derby. I have great friends from Australian football. I have some of my best friends, that I've made as an adult from Irish football, and same with slam wrestling. So I think it's like, for me, I like sports. I like competing. I like the competition. I like pushing myself and learning new things, but still it's like they all kind of feed to each other, like, in roller derby, you're knocking people over. There's no ball. You're moving really fast and you have to stay balanced. And then in Australian football, you're using your physicality, you're using your strength, And so, yeah, I think, growing up, I kind of always played sports and stuff, but I never felt myself really a standout athlete or anything. And so now that I've gotten in kind of older, I kind of find these sports with just great groups of people. Yeah, and like I said, especially, kind of moving to a new country, you find ways to relate to people, and it's easy to join like a sporting team, and then you have something to do. You meet with everybody regularly. You start getting to know people. You go on crazy road trips. You run through sprinklers in outside of Stockholm naked at 4 a.m, and things happen. You create memories.
Okay, now you gotta tell us, how did you get to running through sprinklers naked at 4 a.m? You don't put out that information without a follow-up.
Well, that comes from the Australian football. That's when I was there with the Finnish national team, Australian football, and so it was in the summer, so the sun really doesn't go down, and so yeah, the sprinklers came on, and we had been celebrating just that we were a team, and we were celebrating with a bunch of other teams that were staying kind of in this dorm, and one of my friends, we decided, hey, maybe we need another shower when the sprinklers came on, and so we got naked. We ran through the sprinklers.
Okay then.
It made sense at the time. It makes sense now when I say it again.
Yeah, of course. Now, all these incredible, sports you've been a part of, the roller derby, Aussie football, pro wrestling, obviously. Putting all of that to the test, you were part of the Tough Viking obstacle course. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah. I've done it twice, actually. I think I did it about 8 years ago, and that was tough, because all I was doing then, I think, was just I was only playing Irish football. So I was in pretty good shape, but I'd never done anything like that with, kind of lifting big sandbags and running up a hill and, doing the monkey bars things and, climbing up high things. So the first time I did it with a team of people from my work, and we were all pretty much just kind of, in shape guys. But then the last time I did it was last year. I've been training pro wrestling, and I hadn't trained anything for it. And I think it was 5K or 10K, maybe 10K. I don't remember. Maybe it was 10K, because 5K I can do that, but 10K is a bit of a stretch. And so, like, the week before, I just saw it, and so I signed up for it, and I went by myself. No extra training. I didn't train any of the obstacles or anything like that, and I completed it. And I was pretty happy with myself. I think the only things that I couldn't do were the ones that require maybe a bit more height, because I'm not the tallest guy in the world. So there was like a tabletop thing you had to jump up and get, and I couldn't quite get the grip. But I mean, quite honestly, that's something I'm like, I do kind of like that as a sport. And so I have been looking at gyms to maybe cross train and go train as these obstacle course racers.
Do they have like a Ninja Warrior in Finland?
Not like the U.S. I'd say this Tough Viking is probably about kind of the closest.
Okay.
And it's not as like acrobatic and not as like, you know, in the air as the Ninja Warrior is.
Now, you know, you mentioned you did it 8 years ago, and then, you know, just more recently. What were some of the differences you saw in yourself doing it this time around compared to 8 years ago?
Oh yeah, like I mean, I think mentally, I just knew I could do it. You know, before there was like this, I didn't know if I could run that far, and like the obstacles, I'm not sure. And I didn't know this past year either what they would be, but I had the confidence. I think that's the one big thing that pro wrestling has given me, is like just this confidence that physically I can probably do something, and I'll try it. And I'll see if I can, you know, there's no like wondering. And so, yeah, I think one of the tougher things this last time that I did it, you would pick up a sandbag on your shoulders and you'd have to run up an incline and down. And even now that sounds, you know, quite like a tough thing to do, and it was at the time, but I did it. So I was quite pleased with myself.
Was that the most difficult thing you had to do in the obstacle course?
Yeah, that I recall. Yeah, I remember that was the toughest one, because I mean that was like midway into the course, so you've already been running, you've already been doing stuff, so your quads and your legs are getting sore, and then you have to pick up and manipulate this huge sandbag. I forget how heavy it was. I don't remember. I forget. There were two different weights, but I remember that one. Yeah, that was the most difficult one. Besides the ones where I was just too short, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this one.
Right.
Yeah, but that's more of a geometry thing, you know. I don't have the height.
Right. Was there any obstacle that you actually enjoyed doing, or is it all you know, tough? Clearly.
No, most of them. Yeah, no, I like to do that stuff, right? Like, you know, I think there was one that was what is it? Just like when you climb like a really thin ladder, like a rope ladder.
Okay.
That's pretty high. So you gotta kind of climb that and be very careful because it's swaying. It's not tied to anything. That one was challenging. I think there was some where you go swimming. You have to get in the water, and the water was relatively warm, but then like dealing with, you know, having wet shoes or.
Right.
Yeah, nothing that I was like, oh, this is uncomfortable. I'm like, no, I want to put my body in these maybe uncomfortable things, you know, test myself to see if I can do it. Great questions, my friend.
Well, we like to keep it interesting for our guests.
Yeah.
That being said, can you tell us about your tattoos and if there's any significant meaning to them?
Wow. Okay. Sure. Yeah, dude. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, my tattoos, I have 3 birds, right? And so I got them, I think, all within the last maybe 3-4 years. And so the ones on my calves, I have a blue bird on my let me check, my right calf. And then I have a black duck on my left calf.
Okay.
And so that's after each side of my family. So on my mom's side of my family, our family cabin is at a place called Black Duck Lake. So I got the black duck.
Okay.
And then my dad's side of the family, there's a place of significance that used to exist along Lake Superior called Bluebird Landing. And so kind of as a family thing, we use this, you know, Bluebird Landing term. So that's why I got those birds. And then the one on my arm, it was a tattoo my great uncle had. And so he was, it was a military tattoo that he got. And I thought it would be funny to get a tattoo that he had, because it's not like my idea, you know, it's kind of like a hand-me-down, right?
Yeah.
And so he always said it was a mistake for him getting a tattoo, you know, because he got it when he was in the military back when he was a kid, and then it was all like, you know, blurred and didn't look like anything when he was older. And so, you know, he died, but before he died, I asked him, I asked him if I could get his tattoo. He's like, why would you want to do that? I'm like, because it sounds stupid and funny, you know, because it was a mistake you made, so I'll make the same mistake, you know. And so, so that's why I got that one. And so I got 3 birds, but I do not like birds.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you would have told me 5 years ago I'd have 3 bird tattoos, I'm like, what would happen for me to do that? But here I am. I got 3 birds.
Has your arm tattoo blurred and
No, not yet. I wanted to get it blurry and just looking bad, but the tattoo artist who I actually met through roller derby said she wouldn't do it, but she'd give me a nice tattoo that would honor the original, and it would get blurry eventually, and I agreed with her. So she's really smart, so I'm happy she talked me out of getting a really bad tattoo. It's just a stupid, funny tattoo.
I feel like that's low-key sacrilegious for a tattoo artist to make a bad tattoo.
That's what she said too. She said she'll do bad ideas, but you know, in a good way. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's where this falls into.
If the tattoo looks bad, it's because somebody else drew it and she just put it on their body.
Exactly.
Is there any plans for new ink in the future?
Good question. Jesus, wow. Not really. I've toyed with the idea of a reverse mermaid. But that would go against my birds collection. So I was trying to think of like, you know, could I do some sort of like, half man, half bird, or like some sort of semi-wrestling related one. And then actually the guy who did my calf tattoos a while ago, he posted on his Instagram, and there was like a Simpsons styled, I think it was the Ultimate Warrior as a mermaid. And I was like, dude, did you draw that one to bring me in? Because that is exactly what I would want. But I didn't get it yet. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go get a Ultimate Warrior mermaid Simpsons style.
Sweet. I mean, you gotta post that if you do actually get it. Like, don't deprive the world of that visual.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's funny. Like I didn't have tattoos, you know, my whole life, and my brother and some of my other family members do, and I never thought I'd be a guy to get tattoos, but here I got 3 of them, and it seems like they've been there. They're where they need to be. It's an interesting thing.
Absolutely. That will bring us to the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
What?
Yes.
Whoa. Once again, wow, really good. Okay. 3 songs.
Yes.
So that's a tough one. I'm thinking, because like as a kid, I really liked punk music, right?
Okay.
And so one of my favorite bands was, and yeah, it kind of still is NoFX.
Okay.
And so if I had to pick kind of one of their songs, I don't know. I'd definitely pick one of their songs. I don't. Oh man, I'm looking now. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look.
Pull up that
You
good
know.
Spotify.
Yeah, because I mean, it's easy to say like like Linoleum or something like that, but or you know what it would be? Hold on, what is it? They did a cover of Vincent, this song about Vincent van Gogh. So I think maybe that'd be number one.
Okay.
Okay. I think another song that I've been listening to quite a while that I really, really like a lot is a song called Smile by Idea and Abilities. And it's they were a hip hop group from Minneapolis.
Okay.
And so this guy Idea was an amazing rapper. And I would go see them in my early 20s because they played around shows around Minneapolis and they got huge. So that was cool. And number 3, I also like ridiculous, funny, offensive country music.
Okay.
So I think I would have to go with something like by David Allan Coe.
Okay.
Yeah, just like I don't know. What's the song? I can't think of it. But yeah, something by David Allan Coe, maybe like Long Haired Redneck or something.
Okay.
I don't know what the movie would be about, but like if you give me 3 songs, that's what comes to my mind right now. Something punk, something hip hop, and some weird, dirty country song.
Well, I usually ask the question with the thought process that it's going to be a documentary, a docu-pic on your life. But, it could literally be about anything. I mean, it could be a zombie movie. That's been chosen before. It could be your life interpreted by, the Big Lebowski, Jeff Bridges. But I'm not joking. That's literally something somebody said.
Wow.
And, so, to each their own. You're the producer. The genre is yours to do with as you will.
Exactly. That's just a fun question, my man. You're well prepared, asking really great questions. I'm really impressed.
I appreciate that. And now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays you, and you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Okay. Who plays me in a movie about me? Interesting. I used to be called Rick Moranis when I was younger. I looked quite a bit like Rick Moranis, maybe.
Okay.
But obviously he's a bit, maybe that's like, me in my old age because he's obviously quite a bit older than me. I don't know. I have never thought about that.
CGI is a thing. We could get him a younger Rick Moranis to play
de-aging. He's also retired. But I think one actor that I've always found interesting is this Mexican actor Gael Garcia Bernal, because our birth dates are near each other, and I really appreciate like his movies, like The Motorcycle Diaries and Y Mama Tambien, and like the emotion he has and the range that he has. So I don't know if we look the same, but I've always kind of had a connection with him.
Okay. Now that we have you casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you in your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
3 people, and who would play them?
Yes.
What? Dude, only 3 though?
I mean, you could say more if you'd like. I just limit it to 3.
And who would play them? Wow. So I have two younger brothers. So they would definitely be in the movie somehow. Who would play them? That's more difficult. Because we get together and we are all very, very hilarious together. So I think then that would also change the casting of myself. And I think of like, like these buddy movies, like, kind of a Zach Galifianakis vibe for all of us, really.
I get what you mean.
So, what's that?
I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So I think like maybe, I think it would be, I think all 3 of us would be like, maybe Zach Galifianakis-esque, might be kind of, yeah. Or, that area of vibe. And then like, if it's a biopic or something about my life, definitely my kids would be in there, because I got 2 kids.
Okay.
And so yeah, I don't know. Like for my son, maybe like a young Jake Gyllenhaal, because my son's a all smart, good-looking, interesting dude. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Genetics, buddy.
Yeah. Wow, dude, these are such amazing. And then my daughter, I think it would have to be Taylor Swift in some, younger version, because me and my daughter are Swifties. So.
Okay, so we're getting out that big budget for this movie. Alright, it is sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
Yeah. What a fun exercise. I mean, yeah. Wow, dude.
Now on to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Yeah, it fits sometimes, sure. I mean, here in Finland, they put it on way too often. So it's not like, it's like tuna and pineapple. I'm like, what is this?
Tuna on pizza?
Yeah, tuna. And like, yeah, just like any kind of tuna, like good tuna, canned tuna, whatever. So I think I'm pretty open. Yeah, pineapple, sure. Pineapple on pizza. I eat that every once in a while.
All right. What's your spirit Pokemon?
So my spirit Pokemon?
Yes.
I played a bit of Pokemon with my son. I've always been partial to Squirtle, mostly just for the name.
Okay. Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for Doug? THUG.
No.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. 'Cause a Doug can't spell. Yes, we love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
Okay, way to go, my man.
Now, the weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical rock.
I guess it would depend on what the night's like, what the promotion is. Because I've seen like the guy wrestling a tent or something, or the guy wrestling the Invisible Man, or 2 Invisible Men wrestling each other. I mean,
Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stand.
Yeah, something like. So I guess I don't know. I mean, that's not the next step in my career. You know what I mean? Like for me, like I've been like, okay, since I started, I'm in my mid 40s. I started wrestling when I was in my early 40s. So my career, I keep it pretty reasonable. But I can't say no, because then if I did, I'm sure like in a couple years I'd be in some place where they're like, okay, we need somebody to wrestle this Rock. I'd be like, yeah, okay, dude, I can do it. Because that's what I find. Usually when I say, oh, I'll never do that, I end up doing it.
Well, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
What?
Yes.
I will have to look at that.
I can send it to you.
Please do.
Yes. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Wrestling wise, or in general? I'm gonna go wrestling wise. Yeah. I mean, for me right now, what really is really motivating me is kind of going to training with new guys. Helping new guys and encouraging the new guys. I mean, that's really what's keeping my interest right now. It's and it keeps me fit, it keeps me there, it keeps me engaged, and I'm learning more and more about the subtleties and really what goes into wrestling, which is interesting, and kind of opportunities that would come from that, because it is fun. So yeah, if I'm continuing wrestling, if my body still is up and going in 5 years, to have kind of interesting matches, and really just to help anybody kind of find their place, because that's, like I said, I mean, for me, like that's what slam wrestling has been, at a time like right after COVID, and I had some personal struggles, like it was the place where I fit. And so I know that feeling. So if that's something I can share with people through wrestling or whatever, I think that's kind of what draws me into things. So yeah, I could see myself helping training, or just still being there, encouraging and doing what I can.
Oh yeah. And hopefully training these new kids, they don't turn on you like Arthur did.
Maybe that's a part of it too. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get a bit more involved here. We can use Aruther as what not to do, what to do in a lot of ways. Like that dude has some amazing moves, and unfortunately, yeah, he has this amazing flying knee, which unfortunately I've taken a couple times right into my chest and or face. But then when I think about it, I'm like, well, that was really well done. That was really well executed, and for me too, then I can learn a bit better how to counter something like that. So, but yeah, what to do and what maybe not to do. Stay, with yourself. Be true to what's going on for you, and find your way.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
I'm really proud of I think I mentioned before, this match between the Dylan, the Backbreaker, and I at the American Car Show. It was a one-on-one match. It was going back and forth. I wasn't, I was getting my pieces in, and I would have gone for the win if it wasn't for that Lord Coxworth. But I mean, even though I didn't win that one, that was it pretty much had it all. So I think that's a pretty good representation, I think, of myself as a pro wrestler at this time.
Can we find that on YouTube?
It's not on YouTube. I think it's on Fight TV. So Slam shows its matches on Fight TV. So I think there's like a free trial, and I think otherwise it's just a subscription service, and there's a bunch of MMA stuff, and I think some of the other some other wrestling promotions and stuff on there too. So it's actually quite a great platform. So I'd say check it out on there.
Can we find one of your matches on YouTube?
Yeah, I think they're going to be on the Slam Wrestling YouTube. And I know, I'm not sure kind of what they put out there every once in a while. Let me check actually. but I think there's gotta be some. I mean, come on. There was this Warzone series that we did, but that's kind of early on stuff. But those are kind of fun to watch. We did those during COVID, so there wasn't much of an audience there, and we had some good stuff going on there. But yeah, I'd say check out the Slam Wrestling Finland's YouTube, and there'll be some videos there of me wrestling or just training and things like that. So.
All right, and you could definitely go and check out on Fight TV Slam Wrestling's page and check out the match with Broda. In case you haven't seen it, want to re-see it after this interview.
Exactly. Yeah, it's Fight TV. I think it used to be called Triller TV. I think it's still, maybe you can find it under Triller TV or Fight TV. But yeah, there's like the AEW's on there. There's a bunch of other wrestling things. So I mean, it's quite cool that we're on that platform too. Standing with all those others. So yeah, definitely worth checking out.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom. This is our speed round, or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it, dude.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Greatest wrestler of all time? I always liked Jimmy Superfly Snuka when I was a kid for some reason.
Worst wrestler?
Worst wrestler?
Yes.
Can I say Dylan?
No. Dylan, yes.
Worst than that, yeah. The one I dislike the most?
He won't appreciate that, but
it's
we
fine.
will accept the answer. If you're listening, Dylan, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'll send it to him.
Shout out to Dylan. We love you. This does not reflect on Wrestling with Entertainment. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Rey Mysterio. That'd be super cool.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Do I get a pass?
No.
No?
No pass.
No passing. Okay. Anybody's entrance music. I can't place any, but I would say I think John Cena's was pretty fun, right?
Which one?
I don't know. You pick.
Dugonomics is my personal favorite one, so
There you go.
let's go Dugonomics.
Okay.
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
I don't know what you're talking about.
And we
Kayfabe's still important. Kayfabe's important.
And I love the fact that you said I don't know what you're talking about. We would have also accepted taste great on toast. Squash, vegetable or fruit?
Fruit.
That is correct. It is indeed a fruit. It has seeds.
There you go.
New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
Trunks to butt cheek?
Yes. So how much butt cheek should show out of trunks?
99% of your butt cheek should show out of your trunks.
Okay. So we're going the almost sexy Eddie route.
Yeah. I've floated the idea of wrestling in a Borat style mankini with Buck, but maybe not in his show, I guess.
only imagine how that conversation went with Snowbuck.
It was pretty short.
So basically, he just said no.
Yeah. I said, hey, I'll bring it in next time. I'll show you. Let's see what you think. I think there was some concern. There was some concern about how much ball would fall out, and I said probably a lot.
Yeah. Oh, and the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No. I haven't.
Oh, continue. I cut you off.
No worries. Yeah, no, I have not.
And there's the correct answer.
That one has the correct answer. That's awesome.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. You had amazing questions. I will tell you that.
I appreciate that. We like to keep it interesting for our guest. And once again, where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Yeah, the biggest one is Instagram. So that's Nick, my name NICK _Lukkonen, LUKKONEN on Instagram. So.
Great. And you don't even have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give him a damn follow, and if you're after so, buy a damn short. For sure, yeah. Wow, dude, thank you. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us tomorrow as we interview Shamil. On the 26th, we have John Scrutz, On the 31st, Ramona. And on January 1st, we have Maverick Brave. We're definitely kicking in to high gear for Wrestling Lit as we enter year 6. Follow us at Wrestling with E, both on X, Twitter, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling Wit, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest, Nick Lukkonen, Coleco Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling Wit
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.